Alright everybody, big news regarding Battlefield 2042 and EA. Tom Henderson released an article late last night detailing some funny, pathetic, and downright embarrassing things about what the higher-ups at EA say about Battlefield 2042. And before we get into the video, I'd just like to point out that Tom Henderson is kind of like the only source for transparency in the Battlefield community right now, or at least a slight glimpse into what might be happening. Because think about if he didn't make these articles, right? We would be in the dark 100%. Like, we wouldn't even know any of this was said or done. So with that in mind, remember to hit the like button as it really does help the channel out, and hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for hitting 19,000 subscribers. Montage is on the way. So let's get directly into the article. EA finally acknowledged the disappointing launch of Battlefield 2042 in its latest internal, quote-unquote, town hall meeting call held yesterday on February 15th. EA executives apparently spent over 20 minutes discussing what they thought about Battlefield 2042 and details around it, particularly what went wrong with the game's launch and how EA sees the future of the franchise. Now, I want to introduce a very important character in this entire article. EA's Chief Studios Officer, Laura Miley, or Meal. I'm sorry about your last name. We're just going to call you Laura. Everyone clap for Laura in the comments. Oh my goodness. She led the discussion in these internal calls. And her first incredible statement is that it's really important to acknowledge that we have misses sometimes. Oh yeah, Battlefield 2042 is a miss, alright. Yep, yeah, you missed. Yep, definitely didn't hit it. Laura then continues the statement and says, "This is certainly the case with the Battlefield launch, which failed to meet the expectations of our players and also clearly missed our own expectations." Oh, Laura, I can see why you're the EA Chief Studios Officer. Oh, Laura, you just have such incredible insight, Laura. Now, let's jump from Laura and actually talk about what Tom Henderson mentioned in this article. Apparently, Frostbite was essentially redesigned from the ground up, and that took 18 months alone. Battlefield 2042 was essentially made on a completely new engine, and they were forced to do it because the old Frostbite engine was so outdated that they were forced to update it. Now, jumping ahead in the article just a bit, according to Laura, after the Battlefield beta, EA received basically a ton of feedback concerning everything going on with the game. And Laura states that there was also a ton of positive feedback from players, which I don't know how accurate that is. If you played the beta of Battlefield 2042, I can't really tell you that it was very positive. It had potential if they didn't mess up, which they did, but, you know, it was pretty rough. Everyone could see it was pretty rough, or at least I hope people could see that. But Laura goes on to state, "Players saying this feels like Battlefield. Battlefield is back. This is my Battlefield, so we had to embolden the team." I mean, I don't even know where she got that, but sure, Laura is EA's officer, whatever, studio thing, so she knows best. Shortly after, it was revealed that Battlefield 2042's bug count ratio reached, and I quote, "historic levels for a DICE game." But despite that, the mock reviews prior to the game's launch were apparently in the high 70s to low 80s. You know what that tells me? The people playtesting this game that are doing the mock reviews have absolutely not a clue what they're looking at. And I'm just going to be honest here. Did you even vet any of these people playing the game at all? Did you make sure that they knew how to play an FPS game? Like, a high 70 to a low 80 for the beta? How much money are they getting paid? And now, guys, after that bombshell just dropped on you, right? Here comes Laura again. Brace yourself for Laura, guys. Following the game's really bad launch, DICE rolled out the day 1 and day 0 patches, right? And Laura says, quote, "The game was stable and the early critical reception was good. However," and I'm directly quoting this just so I don't misspeak. "However, according to EA, things took a turn, and that turn was the surprise release of Halo Infinite multiplayer." Yes, you heard that correctly. Laura seems to think that Halo matters at all to Battlefield. Laura's reasoning for this is, according to her, the comparison between both games was not favorable because Halo Infinite was very polished, and Battlefield 2042 contained bugs and wasn't as polished. Let me translate that for you guys in English. Halo wasn't dog shit, and Battlefield 2042 was absolute dog shit. So, what a surprise that people chose the more functional game. Wow, guys. I mean, that is a absolutely groundbreaking observation from Laura. Once again, showing us why Laura is some head of something at EA already forgot her title. Oh, but no. That's not it, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, the game's poor Steam reviews were put down, aka chalked up as, PC players having a poor performance cap, which Steam found upsetting. Yes, rightfully so. I have an exceptionally powerful computer, and my game does not run satisfactory to me. I can only imagine people less fortunate than I am attempting to play this game. Sorry, I almost said playing this game. They aren't. I shudder to imagine what this game would feel like on unstable 40 to 60 FPS on low settings, on 1080p. I feel for anyone that is doing that. EA then goes on to elaborate and basically put all the feedback and criticism into 3 separate categories. According to them, the criticism is chalked up into bugs and performance, game design and feature choices, and the game not aligning with player expectations. Now, I would say that those are 3 fairly solid categories. They're kind of broad, but I'll let it slide. Now, you must be thinking, oh, Anders, this article is pretty telling me there's been a lot of stuff you've told us so far. No, it's not over yet, guys. Here is honestly one of my personal favorite things. EA then elaborated on the bugs and performance and basically said that DICE has had a history of games having a bunch of bugs at launch and that the bugs did actually fall into the range that they would have expected it to. But what I find very interesting about that is they just kind of chalk bugs into like a blanket category, right? Bugs. They don't really acknowledge the severity of the bugs, meaning the mouse input is bugged in this game. The aim assist is bugged in this game, right? They just chalk it all up into a bug category. They don't look at the individual bugs and see how severe the impact of those bugs actually have on the game. And you might have thought that's actually what I was talking about. Nope. Here comes what I was talking about. So Laura reiterates what CEO of EA, Andrew Wilson, said in the quarterly earnings call, saying that DICE historically is very good at adapting games in live service. Now, I'm going to stop you right there, Andrew Wilson. DICE is historically good at adapting games in live service. Have we already forgotten about Battlefield 5 being a live service game and that game having its content completely cut? Have we forgotten that quickly? I haven't forgotten that quickly. Battlefield 5 was the only other live service Battlefield game, and it was a complete and utter failure. Now, if that wasn't enough, he also goes on to state that DICE is also historically very good at connecting with players and connecting with the community and getting the game to a place that the players expect. I disagree with all 3 of those things so vehemently, I'm not even going to elaborate. Now, moving on to other topics, they very, very briefly mentioned the lack of a scoreboard and VoIP, as well as a specialist system in the game, but they are adding a scoreboard back and blah, blah, blah. I'm not giving them any credit for that because it should already be in the game, but just know that they did briefly mention it. And at the very end of this article, Tom Henderson himself actually writes this little segment where he says, on a personal note, overall to me, it seemed that EA was either still grasping as to why Battlefield 2042 failed, or they just didn't want to share those details with the team. So that is essentially the latest news on Battlefield 2042. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you like videos like this, hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for 19,000, I believe 200 subscribers by the time this video is out. Thank you guys so much for that. Montage is coming very, very soon. Make sure to turn notifications on for that. You're not going to want to miss it. I will link the montage that I did with the same editor in the description if you want to see what's to come. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss it, okay? I don't tell people to do that a lot, but hey, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be really cool. Honestly, 2042 doesn't even deserve the quality of this montage. And with that, everyone, just know that Laura is the all-seeing eye of everything regarding Battlefield, and Halo definitely had everything to do with 2042's failure. I'll see you guys in the next one. Praise Laura.